Hello and welcome to the sixth video that I'll be posting in my platformer tutorial series. And in today's video, we'll be discussing more about C# programming. And when I mean C# programming, I'm not going to be touching more about the Unity side of C# programming. I'm going to be discussing and teaching you guys the simple terms of C# programming, such as variables, if statements, and conditional and logical operations, and these will be used in the next video. And as we progress through the series, we're going to be using these terms more and more, and if I don't teach you now about these terms, you're going to get confused in the next videos and continue and so on. So what we'll be doing is we're going to go to Visual Studios, open it, and I'm going to create a new project, and the new project will be a console app, which when we are doing Unity, is not going to be a console app but a Unity script. But console app and Unity script are almost same. However, the difference is, of course, we're not going to be using Unity terms. We're just going to be using C# terms, and I'm going to be discussing about the C# terms that all of you must know so that you guys can understand or achieve greater understanding when I'm teaching you guys Unity programming. So we're gonna go to console app. Next, we're gonna create this beginning tutorial variable terms. Okay, click enter, and we are loading the project. Okay, so when we see the code that the system already provides us, you can see it's using system, and this will be discussed in the further videos because we're going to be using a lot of Unity engines and a lot of Unity protocols that have been created by Unity. Got class, which I'm going to discuss more, and all of this. This console write line here code is actually used to print. However, in Unity, we're not going to be using console write line because Unity isn't a program making software. It's going to be a game making software. So we don't really actually need to understand about console write line, but I want you guys to think that console write line is another word for print. So when you guys want to print something in the software, we're just gonna type in console.writeLine, okay? And as you can see, it prints hello world and is another word for print. So as you can see, if I type in here writeLine, console.writeLine is another word for print. Debug, let's start debugging. Okay, so I want you guys to remember that console.writeLine is another word for print. So if you want to type something like or print something in the software here, just type in console.writeLine. But in Unity, we're not going to be using that. So just understand that console.writeLine is another word for print. Okay. So now we're going to be learning about the variables. Okay. So variables, there are three types. Variables. There's three types of variables, and those types are maybe I should just print this. Console.writeLine. Three types of variables. Okay. And those three types are string, console writeLine, boolean, console writeLine, and integer. Okay, as you can see from the typing, I've been using semicolons at the end, and that's another key feature of C# programming, where at every code or line of code you're gonna make sure that the code is ended with a semicolon, so that it tells the system that the code is only this, only this, only this, only this, and gives out how long the line of code will be. So let's just say hello world. If I, for example, I don't put a semicolon here, the system's gonna detect like, oh, this is just one code. That's why you should always put a semicolon to make sure that this is one code, another code, another code, and so forth. So I'm going to teach you guys how to comment also. And to comment, you simply type in slash asterisk. Asterisk is this symbol right here. You go to shift and an 8 and you get that symbol asterisk, and you type in anything. Just type anything, and it won't mess up your code because it's just commenting. So here we go. I'm going to type in the notes, which is string is used as string, boolean is used as bool, and integer is used as int. Okay, so you'll get that understanding after I write these 3 line of code here. So let's just say I'm gonna make variables. So let's create some variables. So let's just say string, just say a name equals to def def code. There you go. So as you can see, this line of code, line 18, is a variable. So the way we're gonna make variables in Unity and C# is we're gonna make type of variable, and we got space. Just gonna put comma to that. Got a name of the variable, okay, and then we type in again with uh with with equals to, and you gotta go to the data you want to store according to the type, and it will store onto the name of the variable. Okay, so as you can see, type of variable is the string. Okay, and I've told you guys that there's 3 types of variable: string, boolean, and integer. And I'll be showing in boolean and integer in a sec. And then we've got the name of the variable, and the name of the variable is name. I can change this to anything. Let's just say name of channel, like that. I could do that as long as you don't put space, which is gonna break. So don't put space and make it into like one line here. So as long as you don't put out spaces in the name of the variable, then you should be fine. And yeah, and then you can put like numbers to it. Doesn't matter. The variable is a type of string, and the name of the variable is name of channel, and equals to the data, which is the string data is any text. So string stores any text as long as you put on these quotation marks and you put the text inside the middle. So I can make like if code is cool or something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to show you guys what are ints and boolean. To make an int variable, we're gonna go int, and since integer stores number, we're gonna make a name such as value1, for example, and then we just store in the data, which is, since int is a number, we can just directly type in any number, 20, for example. And don't forget the semicolon, because C# always ends with a semicolon. Okay, and like before, we're going to be discussing about the type of variable, which is int, and int is integer, name of the variable, which is value1, equal sign, equal sign, and the data you want to store according to the type, and it will store to the name of the variable, which is 20. So value 1 is 20. Okay? Now we're gonna go to Boolean. I'm pretty sure none of you have already heard about this term Boolean, so I'm just gonna say Boolean can be written as bool, and Boolean stores true or false statements. So let's just say true. Let's say the name is answer. Okay, just say true. So the type of the variable is bool. The name is answer. Equal sign, and the data is true. And there can only be for bool. There can only be true or false, and there can't be any other data that it can store. It's true or false only. So let's take a quick recap. String is for anything that you put text and quotation marks. Int is a number. Boolean is just true or false. Simple enough. Okay. Now we're gonna go to assignment operators, math. So as you know, programming is quite related to maths, and there are a few assignment operators that you should know. So let's just type in here the assignment operators. Give me a second. Let me just comment this so that you guys won't get confused. Okay. So we're gonna go in and type in some assignment operators math. Give me a second. Okay, so there's sorry for that. So assignment operators, there are 4 of them, and they're pretty simple. As you know in math, there's plus, minus, multiply, and divide. And the only difference in assignment operators in programming is plus is, of course, still addition, right? Minus is still subtraction. And asterisk in programming is multiplication. And slash in programming is division. It's pretty simple enough, right? So the way we're gonna be using this is okay. The way we're gonna be using this is if we type in some console.writeLine, which is, like I said before, print, and we're gonna get the value 1. Okay, value 1, and let's just say we want to add 10. Okay, so value 1 is 20, right? And if we use this symbol assignment operator for maths, it means value 1 will be added by 10. So what's 20 plus 10? 30. Okay, if we type in again console right line below it, and we get in, let's just say value 1 plus plus value 2, let's say. Make another value 2, and let's just say what's value 2? How about 90? Okay, that's a really large number. And let's just say plus value 2. Wait, console. Okay, and when we start debugging, we can see that 20 plus 90, because value 1 is 20 and value 2 is 90, is 110. As you can see, 110. That's pretty self-explanatory. You can add more than this. Of course, you can add like value 3, and then you can add value 4, value 5, but then you have to make sure that you assign that by making variable for it. Or you can add like directly numbers like 80, 20, and stuff like that. And we can also use all of these operators inside of here. So let's just say value 1 is divided by 10. See 2, and we can also multiply. And it's pretty self-explanatory at this point. You can just put in these operators to increase or decrease values of integers. Then we can go to other operators, which is comparison operators. So comparison operators are operators that are used in maths too. Oh, wait, give me a second. Oh, let me write down note. Comparison operators, math. And there are four types of comparison operators, and that's plus. The first type is plus equals, and that's add equals to, and then minus equals, which is subtract equals to, and we got plus plus, just an increment, and fourth is minus minus decrement. So for those of you who aren't familiar with plus equals, so it's basically a programming term where we're gonna give me a second. I need to comment this so you guys don't get confused. And as you can see, do not write asterisk slash. You have to type in slash asterisk, and at the end to close it, you have to type in slash asterisk. So the asterisk should be in the middle of the text so that it won't crash with any other. Okay, so I just type in the code. Just type in console write line value 1. Okay, and we're gonna type in the semicolon. You can see that the value is 20, right? Okay, and if we just type in here, you say value 1 is plus equals to 20, let's just say, and a semicolon at the end always. Start debugging, and we got 40. So what it actually does is we get value 1 and we add value 1 with 20. Okay, so value 1 will take itself plus 20 and it will store it back to value 1. So basically what it's going to do is, let's just say that value 1 here, value 1 equals to value 1 plus 20. Do you get it? So value 1 plus equals to 20 is the same thing as saying value 1 plus 20. And then it's going to store that value in value 1. Okay? But this also works as for minus. So if we just say minus, that means it equals to value 1 minus 20. If you don't get this, then no worries. I'm going to be discussing this more on the unity terms, but try to make sense that value 1 is actually storing itself plus 20. So value 1, so when I say value 1 plus equals to 20, it's actually meaning that value 1 will store itself, its value itself, and you add 20 to its value. So value 1 plus 20 equals to value 1. So when we type in console write line value 1, it already adds 20. So instead of writing this, like directly console write line value 1 multiply by 10, we can, or plus 10 like that, we can directly type in value 1 multiply equal to 10. Debug, start debugging. As you can see, it's 200. So it's actually the same thing with the multiplication and division. It's just making it far more simpler than just you have to write console.writeLine value 1 times 10 instead of just changing the values. So yeah. So wait, give me a second. Let me just add 2 more, which is the multiply and equals to, and finally we got slash equals division equals to. And this is really useful when just want to changing the variables instead of actually printing it. Whereas this one, you have to really like get you have to really type in it in the print. Meanwhile, we just want to change variables without actually printing it, right? So if I just say, for example, I do not console write line dot, if I, for example, do delete that console write line and it doesn't print, then it's still basically still storing that value 1 is 200, but we just don't print it. But then the computer already recognizes this value 1 is 200, but it's just not printing it. Whereas we can't do it with this one. In this one, you just gotta print it, then we can get the value, right? While this is just basically changing the value and storing itself into its value. So it's just changing the number that the value or variable is storing. I hope that's pretty clear. And we got the next operator, which is the logical operators. And this is this is where your logic will play in programming. So logical operators. Logical operators, there are a lot of logical operators, but then I'm going to show you the most used one. So we can go to, there's three types actually in logical operators. That's and, which equals to and we got this, the straight slash, which equals to or, and exclamation point, which equals to not. So these logical operators are really useful when you are programming in if statements. Talking about if statements, there are three types of if statements, and those three types are. Give me a second. Let me just type in the notes. Three types of if statements are if, else if, and else. So you gotta learn that there are three types of if statement, and that's if, else if, and else. Okay, and then we're gonna learn another operation, and this is the final operation that you're gonna use when we're programming in Unity, and that's if conditions. Okay, if conditions. If conditions. So if conditions, there are a lot of types of if conditions. However, there I'm going to name them all, and that's this, which is more equal to, more equal to, yeah. And then we can say less equal to, which is like this, less equal to. We got less than, more than, more than, and finally this, equals to. Okay, so let's just say, for example, we make an if statement. So making an if statement in C# is pretty simple. Gotta type in if, got to put the brackets, and let's say that value 1 is right here is 200, right? Just say value 1 is how much bigger than 200, for example, is let's just say we want this statement to activate, so let's just say value 1 is, value 1 is bigger than 100, which is supposed to be because it's 20 times 10 here, so 200. So if value 1 is bigger than 100, what we want is we click here, we click enter at the edge, click on the curly brackets with shift. It's going to spawn two curly brackets when you're using Visual Studios, and click enter again, so it's formed this paragraph. And we type in, we want to show that it executes, so we're just going to write console write line. And remember, console.writeLine is just print. Console write line, I just say code is executed. Okay, and we're gonna type in console.writeLine again to show the value of 1, value 1. Okay, debug, start debugging. And what it's going to do is that it's going to say code is executed in 200. And the main reason why it works is because value 1 is larger than 100. And if this statement is true, then this code will be executed. If value 1 isn't, for example, if value 1 is 100, if value 1 is less than 100, then this code is executed. And since we know that value 1 is 200, we know that the code is false and the condition is false, then it won't execute. As you can see, it does not execute. As you can see, if value 1 is 100, that means this is false. The statement is false here. Then the code below it will not run. Pretty simple enough. Okay. And now we're gonna elevate things up by just changing a little bit. And if we just say if this is like this and this, and then we type in some logical operators, which helps elevate their if statement by increasing it a lot. And just say if value 1 is 100, is larger than 100, and we can see here that our value 2 is 90, so let's just say, and value 2 is less than 100, then we want this to be executed, and we can just say console.writeLine value 2. When we debug this, we can see that the code is executed. And the main reason why is because value 1 statement is correct and value 2 statement is also correct. Now, let's just say, for example, value 2 statement, value 1 here, this statement is correct. However, this statement is not correct. And we're using an AND logical operator. What it's going to do is it's not going to initiate the code because one of them is false. Okay? So when we're using AND, we want to make sure that both of these statements are true, then this code is executed. If we go back to the logical operator, we can see that this equals to AND. If we use the straight slashes like this, it indicates OR. And the code will execute once more because one of these variables are correct. As you can see, value 1 is larger than 200, but then value 2 is wrong because value 2 is 90. 90 isn't supposed to be 90. Value 2, since value 2 is 90, 90 is not supposed to be bigger than 100, so that's why it's wrong. But then since we're using the logical operator OR, it can just take one of the value. It's going to take one of these statements, and if one of them is correct, then it'll just execute it directly. And finally, you have these not. So what this is going to be is basically if value 2, let's just say if value 2, I'm sorry for that, is 90 like this, is equals to 90, right? And there you go. If value 1 is larger than 100 and value 2 is equal to 90, then start debugging. And we can see that it is executed. However, if we just say if value 2 is not 90, value 2 is exclamation point, which means not equals to 90, then it's not going to execute it unless we're going to use OR. Or we can change the code to like this. We can just say value 2 is, for example, 100, right? Since value 2 is 90, what this statement is trying to say is value 2, when value 2 is not equal to 100, then it's true, and the condition is true. So, and since it's an AND statement, value 1 is true, and value 2 is true, then this is executed. We're gonna see more about this in the Unity programming when I'm trying to explain about how conditions work and how these condition experiments work and whether or not these conditions here actually will actually form form a condition for the program to run and whether or not we want this specific action to be done first so that the command can work or something like that. We're going to use variables to indicate whether or not it's true or false. We're going to also use boolean here, and that's something I forgot to tell you about. And you also use boolean here. We use boolean here. What's our boolean name again? Answer. Okay. If answer is not equals to false, if answer is equal to true, which is true, right? Because we mentioned here in the top that bool answer equals true. If value 1 is much larger than 100 and answer is equals to true, then the then then the code will be executed. And if answer is not true, and if answer is not true, if answer equals to not true, that means it has to be false. That means answer has to be false for it to work, because if answer is not true, then this condition is true, and then that causes the if to work. And since we're using and, that means if this condition is not true, then this code will not execute. However, if we're using or, then this condition will execute because value 1 is true and value 2 isn't true, and or will only indicate whether or not either one of these statements are true, and it will already be able to work. I know that this is a lot to take in. I hope you guys are prepared for the next video where we're going to start Unity programming. I'm going to start short and I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible because this is, after all, a beginner's tutorial, and I'm going to try to make it as simple, and I'll explain it as much as I can to make it more simpler, but I know this is going to be challenging and confusing at first. But if we continue and the more you guys use these terms, the more you're going to understand about it. Just try experiment it with your own free time in Visual Studios, and I'll probably give you guys some notes or some fun games that you guys can find in the link in the description of the video, where you guys can test your knowledge or test your understanding about this. And I'll try to review all of these terms that I've discussed in this video in the next video again, so you guys can understand more and see how different C# programming is with Unity. And I guess that's it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video.